You wake up in the Mercedes Megadome after a long, wet, and cold night. The night has just been ruined by Hurricane Katrina. The year is 2005. Your town of New Orleans has just been hit by that ginormous hurricane. A city once filled with a long history has just been hit. A city with a long history has just added another chapter to its book. In 2018, New Orleans had about 18.51 million visitors, and that is according to NewOrleans.com. I have been to New Orleans. I went this year in February, and I also went on a history tour of New Orleans where I learned about the history. I have also done research about Hurricane Katrina as well as Mardi Gras. Today you will have a brief understanding of New Orleans history. You will also learn about Mardi Gras, and you will also learn about Hurricane Katrina. First, let's begin by explaining New Orleans' complex history. New Orleans' complex history can best be stated by History.com. The title is New Orleans, written by History.com editors. It was last updated in June 10th of 2019. It states 1718. The French governor of New Orleans, Jean-Baptiste Saint-Domingue, found the city of Nouvelle Orleans. In 1762 and 1763, France signed treaties ceding it to Spain. It was later then sold to France again, and 20 days later they sold it back to Spain. In other words, this is a picture of the French Quarter in New Orleans. New Orleans was founded in 1718. It's founded by this man right here, Jean-Baptiste Saint-Domingue, and it had a long history. It was owned by 3 countries. The countries that owned it were the United States, it was owned by France, and it was owned by Spain. The first country that it was owned by was France, and it was founded in 1718, and then it was sold to Spain, and Spain owned it for 40 years. It then was sold back to France, and France sold it 20 days later to the U.S. in the Louisiana Purchase. Now, after you have learned a history of New Orleans, it is now time to talk about a predominant holiday that they celebrate in New Orleans that is called Mardi Gras. According to the manual.com, which has the title A Brief History of New Orleans, written by Sam Slaughter on February 24, 2020, it states, Mardi Gras is French for Fat Tuesday and refers to eating of fatty foods before the holiday of Lent. In other words, Mardi Gras is a holiday. It is specifically the day before Ash Wednesday. It's a Catholic holiday. It's before Ash Wednesday, and Ash Wednesday is 40 days between Easter and Ash Wednesday, and that period is called Lent. And that day before Ash Wednesday is called Fat Tuesday, and that's where people would party and they would do fatty foods because they would have to give up something for their religion. This right here is a beaded necklace that I got in February of this year before Mardi Gras. And now Mardi Gras, you don't really do that how they did by eating the fatty foods. Now people just celebrate and drink and go to bars, and there are many parades around. Now that you have learned about Mardi Gras, it is now time to talk about a natural disaster that occurred in New Orleans called Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina can best be described by CNN.com. The article called Hurricane Katrina Fast Facts. It was written by CNN editor research. It was updated in August of 2020. It states Katrina makes landfall as a Category 3 hurricane with winds near 127 miles per hour and had severe flooding damage. A total damage from Katrina was $161 billion. In other words, this is the Megadome where people that were evacuated in New Orleans. It was a Category 3 hurricane. It's a very strong hurricane, and that is why many people had to leave from their homes and be evacuated into this building, which was a Megadome, where they would have sports. And it had $161 billion in damage. This might seem like a lot of information for one city. However, the core of New Orleans consists of Mardi Gras, its long history, and Hurricane Katrina. Today I went over the long history of New Orleans. I also went over Mardi Gras and it was celebrated in the few past and how it is now celebrated in modern day. I also talked about the damage that occurred in Hurricane Katrina. New Orleans is a place with a long history that involved being owned by many countries and to being damaged by hurricanes. This city will always stay positive by having parades every year for Mardi Gras.